Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Niladri Mukherjee and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I practice here in Guelph, Ontario. So I am sure a lot of you are sad by seeing a very high CRS with a very less number of invites being sent. But this is probably a time for us to introspect, to think and to understand what really has come into government's mind, which is why this kind of stance has been taken and what really is the way forward. And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking to pick and choose other countries, for example Australia, maybe UK, and might be thinking that our immigration is dead and whatnot. But here is the video to talk about a little bit of what I think about the draw and what I think should be the way forward. Now before I could tell you about my opinion, let's just try to dissect what government was indirectly telling us for about 2 years now, and that was be a temporary resident first and then become a permanent resident. Right, that has been the objective, and that has been, I will not probably say objective, but that has been the understanding or learning of the government during pandemic. And or maybe that is exactly how the government had thought to re-strategize their immigration thing. So I'm not saying the express entry is going to be dead, or I'm not saying that the PNPs will not work anywhere, but if we were to do things, if you were to do things, if you have to take things in our hand, and if you have to do things much sooner rather than waiting for when the draw would, when the score would fall down and then we will get some chance and those kind of things. So if you want to be a little bit more proactive, you should always try these days to be a temporary resident first. And by a temporary resident, I mean even a visitor. I mean even a work permit holder. I mean even a student, because getting a visitor visa, coming here as a student or having that work permit approved is sort of trying to establishing your connection to Canada in some way or the other. Now, you could counterpoint this statement and say that, well, if I could come to Canada as a visitor, I live in Canada as a visitor, right? So it's not really adding any value. Well, it does add value. First of all, you're gaining some kind of experience to see how the country is. And most importantly, if you had to apply for a work permit tomorrow, and if you already have a visitor visa, that process will become a little bit smoother because you have obeyed the rules of a visitor visa, right? So this is what it's all boiling down to. The government wants you to be a temporary resident first and then become the permanent resident. What does that mean? This means that express entry draw will come down. It has to come down. Simple economics, right? It's a simple situation of supply and demand. Now the supply is way more than demand, and hence the invitation, less number of invitations were sent. It is going to be balanced, but that balancing act will take a lot of time. So you really have to think, do you have that kind of time? Are you in the age of 30, 31, and with each passing year you are losing 5 points? Or do you not want to stay in where you were staying for the next 2 years? You want to do things today. If that's the way you're thinking, then you have to try to become a temporary resident first. So you can come to Canada as a visitor, explore the country a little bit, and try to meet employers. And I have been saying this for a very long time now. The number of job vacancies that we all see in Canada is an astronomically high level. So if you're able to channelize your energy in the right direction, if you're able to do your research, if you're able to present a good Canadian CV, chances are that you will be picked up, and then have your speech ready as to what what do you really want to tell to the employer before convincing them to take your interview. And during that time, take your language test, have your educational assessment done so that you are prepared. Right? So you could always come to Canada and explore the country and try to meet employers. And if you get a job offer, getting an LMIA approved at this point in time, if it's a genuine job offer, if that matches with your previous qualification and experience, or if you are really a bona fide worker, getting that LMIA approved is not that difficult. I'm not saying it's a cakewalk, but it's a lot less difficult than what it used to be. Most importantly, if you get a job offer, and if you have an express entry profile, you could always take advantage of any of those PNPs. You do not have to think about like, well, I want to convert my, the visitor visa into a work permit and things like that. Those do not work, and I will tell you why in the next video. Conversion of visitor visa into work permit does not work these days, post-pandemic era. It may work in a 1 case out of 1,000 case, something like that, but you are not really shooting in the dark. Try to take advantage of the PNPs if you get a job offer, and then magic will happen. Go to the Atlantic provinces and try to meet the employers and see what happens. And I could tell you from my experience of working with clients all over the world, these things do materialize. Those that are passionate, those that are focused, are getting the job offers from outside Canada across the profiles. I'm not really talking about chef. I'm not talking about truck drivers only. I'm talking about IT professionals. I'm talking about procurement professionals, right? So things do happen like that. Secondly, if you have the money and if you have the tenacity to be a Canadian student, which is amazing in itself, right? Try to apply to a Canadian university, not to a college. Try to apply to a university. I'm not saying that the colleges are bad and universities are good. I'm saying that if you apply to a Canadian university, chances are your visa acceptance chances would be way higher as compared to if you apply for a college. But even if you do not get an university, try to apply to a college and prepare a good study permit application and come here as a student. Your spouse can join you, in the open work permit, or if you have children, they can come here on a study permit as well. Take a 2-year long course and take a 3-year then PGWP. Complete 2 years of Canadian work experience. Have that point added into the express entry system, and then magic will happen. Right? So these are the strategies that we really need to take. And if you do not want to take any of these, then at least do not sit idle with your express entry profile. Just creating an express entry profile. Apply on as many PNPs as possible, except Quebec if you are not a native French speaker, right? I say this all the time that it's not really picking and choosing. Well, I want to live in Toronto. What do I do? I want to live in Vancouver. What do I do? You do not have the luxury anymore. Majority of you, right? So picking and choosing a particular city, picking and choosing a particular province are not the thing that we are talking about today. You have to literally apply to all the PNPs if practically possible. Try to reach out to, if not 100%, reach out to 80% of the eligible Canadian employers that matches your criteria, and try to have a word with them. Try to convince them to interview you, not to give you a job offer, but to interview you. And then you take your preparation, have that interview cracked, and then there will be a lot of PNPs that you can take potentially advantage of. So if you are somebody in IT, it is very much a possibility. If you are in procurement, it's definitely a possibility. Supply chain, possibilities, right? Nurses, still a possibility. You do not have to be licensed. So a lot could really happen. We have to strategize things in a little bit different manner. We have to think differently. This is what this video is all about. Do not be saddened. It's a very high CRS. I have seen a lot of YouTube videos and people are saying, well, CRS will come down. I'm also saying CRS will come down. But my analogy is CRS will come down, but it is going to take a lot of time. I personally, when I immigrated myself, I did not have that kind of time. I did not have that kind of patience. I prefer to take things onto my hand and do things the way I want. And for my clients, I prefer to take things more proactively. If any of my clients are watching the video, they know for a fact that I prefer to do things in a way more proactive manner and try to make things happen. So if you need professional assistance, drop us a line. Contact at nuvonation.ca. Book a professional consultation with me. Shall be glad to assist. Thank you. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye now. Cheers.